What's up? What's happening? You know the sound. You know what it is. Boston has entered the chat. I'm George Balekji. She's Natalie Noury. We're in the PNC Bank studio. We got a packed show for you guys today, talking about Drake Maye and the progress, taking steps towards being the starter eventually this season, but also what the Patriots have to get right to make that happen. We'll hit on the Chiefs and if the NFL's rigged for them. Some Cowboys talk along with some Derrick Henry dietitian tips as well. But first off, Natalie, how are we doing today?
I'm good. Start of the week. Hockey started.
Yeah, it started for you yesterday.
Yeah.
I got a text yesterday. It was a shot of the Jumbotron at the Garden. Someone goes, Jesus, this girl's everywhere. And it was you doing your thing.
You actually
in-game MC. I swear to God.
Oh
I swear to God. I think I can find it right now.
Oh, my God. Well, please
do.
Well,
it was as
that's so funny.
Yeah, someone's like, she's a grinder.
Oh, well, that's really nice. Yeah,
she's everywhere right now. That is literally the text I got.
Yes, I do put a lot of miles on my Volkswagen. That is all reliable. But yeah, hockey started. It was weird because I was just doing baseball stuff on Saturday, hockey stuff Sunday. Now we're talking football. Yeah, it's just like all of a sudden the seasons change and here we are. But yeah, it's an exciting time. I'm pumped. Second preseason game for the Bruins on Tuesday, so I'll be there too.
Did they win against in the preseason opener? Yeah.
No, they lost 3-2. It was a scrappy game though. Yeah. It was pretty good. Like I was talking,
tight towards the end.
Yeah, and they had a power play late in the third. Wasn't the cleanest power play we've seen, but it's preseason, so that's good for that. But the fans were into it, and they were like, you know what? Sometimes we can't, always afford the regular season games, but you come to preseason, the action, the intensity, the entertainment, everything is the same. So
you get high level AHL guys, and there was like 3 NHL guys on the ice for the Bruins. Like preseason hockey is so interesting.
Yeah,
it's the same as football. Of like. Don't put the main dudes in there. Like they're going to get a beating over 82 games. Yeah. But it's cool to see that younger talent show up. Like you said, I mean, this is interesting, like part of the year. It's baseball. It is hockey, obviously firing up preseason. Basketball is right around the corner. Yeah. But obviously football, Sundays are dominated by that. Let's get into recent reports. And this is exciting coming out of just the Patriots played on Thursday. So we've obviously ingested and spit that game back out as the Pats want to do. We'll get to what Drake Maye said Monday during his presser. But reports coming out of Breer for the Monday morning quarterback basically saying Drake Maye will start this year. Quote from his article saying, this won't be a full-on redshirt year. They'll be patient. But Maye's progress has gotten to the point where the expectation is he'll earn his way onto the field relatively soon, with the one caveat being that the Patriots offense will have to show that they can play in a way that it needs in order to support a rookie quarterback. So we need to see a Patriots offense from week 1, not week 3. You can even say week 2 where they weren't getting separation. In order to support Drake Maye, it's intertwined with the offensive line. That's the way I look at this. I have been, and people have given me crap all year because I say sit him, but they take that as me saying you don't play him at all over the course of these 17 games. I land on week 13 at home against Indy right before the bye. That'll give him a 5-game sample size, and it gives him an extra week to prepare out of that. But I said if this offensive line looks good before then you go ahead and do it. But Jacoby Brissett was under pressure 52% of his dropbacks Thursday night. And as the offensive line stands right now, it is a third-string left tackle, a third-string left guard, a center in David Andrews that's good, but can only do so much with so much going awry to his left and right. Yeah. A right guard that should be a backup. Your right tackle should be your starting right guard, so your right tackle is your backup right tackle. This offensive line looked terrible. They've allowed 11 sacks and 30 hits and 96 dropbacks this season. Like, I'm throwing the numbers, and I don't want to snooze people with it, but it's a mix of the numbers, what we all saw Thursday night, and then the personnel up front. I understand he'll be onto the field fairly soon, but this offensive line doesn't look like it's going to get good fairly soon. So I need to see the chicken before we get the egg. I need to see the offensive line before I see Drake Maye behind him.
Interesting. Chicken before the egg.
I don't know if that works that way.
Yeah.
I guess you get egg before the chicken. We don't know what came first, but you know what
exactly. I mean. I know exactly what you mean. And I think I'm going to agree with you that. Like, offensive line, that's the main issue here. You look at what happened on Thursday. Maye was hit 5 times, sacked twice. He had 1 drive. Brissett was sacked 5 times, hit 10 times. It's football. That's what happens. They wear pads just like everybody else. We've established this before, but it was messy. And Drake Maye said, I think on WEEI, he said I was impressed with Drake Maye's toughness. He took hits, a football player does, but it's going to take him some more reps, some more like playing time to get to this, the confidence level that he needs to be at before he starts. You say week 13, you'd like to see him around week 13?
That's so far down.
Yeah. I was thinking like 7. Week 7?
I wouldn't. Week 7's Jacksonville in London. And I'm not going to give a rookie QB his first career start with so much difference. Like you do want to make it simple. I do like getting the start on the road though. Like technically it's a home game for the Pats. I like the start coming on the road because there is less pressure. Like a lot of front office executives, a lot of coaches would say you're best giving your rookie the first start on the road because there's less pressure in the building.
Yeah,
where if stuff does start going sideways, the boos will come from your home crowd, especially in Boston. If you're in Philly, New York, that's how it can be. That week 7, even though alone, say if it was on the road, that's a good defensive line from the Jaguars. I can't give a date until I see this offensive line. You have to be smart with protecting him.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You need to clean it up before you can even think about moving forward. And that's why Drake Maye is like, nope, we're sticking with Brissett. Like, we knew coming in that he was going to be the starter. He's QB1. He's been around the game. He's taken hits. He knows how to play the game. Drake Maye needs more reps, obviously, to build confidence to get to the point that he's at. So I kind of felt this was a good time for him to come into the game. In a way, it was a low-pressure situation because the game was already determined. So he was going in. I'm pretty sure Mayo just kind of told him like, hey, have fun out there. Make sure you play the game, but have fun at the same time.
Be smart.
Yeah, be smart, obviously. Handle the ball well. But I think this was a low-pressure situation for Drake Maye to be introduced to NFL play. And I think that was good, at least steps in the right direction to build his confidence. So I thought that was kind of a win for him personally, but to stick with Brissett for the next few weeks is a no-brainer in my head.
For him, and you point out, you said he had 12 dropbacks. He was sacked twice. And then 2 of those, again, he also scrambled. To drop back 12 times, get hit twice, or get sacked twice, get hit another 4. Yeah. You go 4 for 8, where the accuracy is kind of all over the place. That last incompletion of Pop Douglas, he made a business decision and pulled up on that route. He didn't want to get a hospital ball. Point 2 is looking good. There's still that long release. It's too small of a sample size for me to say sit him longer because also there's jitters, there's nerves. First time out there on the field, a defensive line that didn't care a rookie was back there, kept teeing off on him.
Yep.
I'm fine with him playing, but there needs to be more. And Drake Maye said that too, getting into one of his quotes from his presser. He said, Jacoby is still our starting quarterback, even after the game. I watched that film the whole way home, still felt the same way. We have to support him as a staff and players and keep him clean to find the open receiver.
Yeah.
Week 1 and 2, there were points where Jacoby Brissett was holding onto the ball too long, as in he had 4 to 5 seconds in the pocket, but no one was getting open deep downfield. We need shorter routes from the receivers. You need Alex Van Pelt to step up and scheme them open. And you have to help. Whenever he plays, you have to help a rookie quarterback. Same thing. First play he comes in, drop back pass, almost picked off. I was just more worried. He was throwing right away. Hand it off.
Yeah.
And I don't care. The game's a blowout at that point. Just run the ball and let him get settled in. What makes, and we saw it on Sunday, Natalie, Sam Darnold, what he's doing because of Kevin O'Connell. What Baker Mayfield has done. Better example, what Andy Dalton did stepping in for Bryce Young and waking up that whole offense. Dave Canales, Kevin O'Connell. It's a tight, operation they have. You see how well coached the blockers are. You see how well coached the receivers are. The timing it is about. And setting up the players for success. Alex Van Pelt has to do that with this offense. So it's, again, I go on the offensive line. I think that's the biggest deciding factor. Yeah. I need more from AVP and his play calling and his scheming, everything, to trust that you can have a rookie quarterback out there and he'll continue to develop and get better.
And at the same time, Drake Maye, he got out of the pocket one time and 12 rush yards for him?
Yeah, he scrambled twice and one of them was on a 3rd and 8. Yeah. And we were watching it and I said too, I'm like, that's a big conversion. Yeah. Jacoby can't do that. Like Drake Maye, he's more athletic than Joe Millen. He's very athletic, but he's a good passer.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, obviously they want to see him pass the ball more, develop that chemistry with the receivers. But I think the fact that he has that athleticism to get out of the pocket and make something happen. Obviously, you don't want him to get in those situations too often, but the fact he can do it, maybe that kind of translates from his days in college, what he kind of had to deal with there. But I thought
it was a bad offensive line at UNC too.
Yeah, so I think in a way he's kind of used to it, but it's a whole new playing level. I mean, you can't even compare the NFL with college. But at the same time, he was able to kind of do what he's good at.
Yeah.
And I thought small sample size, like you mentioned, but I thought it was a good taste for him to kind of get in there and see what it's like and kind of get a feel for it. But then you look at the next game against the 49ers, you can't have him start that game. No way. I mean, Brissett even is probably going to have trouble with that offensive line and the 49ers defense.
And that's the way I look at it. You're going to have Nick Bosa, Javon Hargrave, Malik Collins, a really good defensive line. The week after that, you're at home. It's against the Dolphins with Jalen Phillips, who's a really good edge rusher, and a defense that's still aggressive. And a winnable game because I don't know who they'll have at quarterback. The week after that, I don't care the Texans got upset and their defense couldn't stop the Vikings. Danielle Hunter, along with Will Anderson Jr., and again, an aggressive defense led by D'Amico Ryans. And then you said week 7 after that, Arik Armstead, Trayvon Walker, Joshua Hines-Allen. It's not getting any easier now. And that's the tough part on it all. And then if you even go back week 7, then, okay, you're back at home against the Jets, who just pushed around your defensive line.
Right. Well, that was actually kind of the game. Sorry to interrupt, but that's kind of the game that I was like, I'd love to see Drake Maye in a little bit more because
home
now
against the Jets?
Yeah, because now he's had a taste of it.
I wouldn't hate that.
Yeah, I mean, to see him in that game, I think it's a toss-up. We don't really know, obviously, what's going on in Jerod Mayo's head, but to see him around that time, I think would... In my brain, like week 13 was a little far, but like 7, as you said, it's in London. I totally blanked that. But like after that, I think it's fair game to see him.
It's my landing spot that I do like is week 9 at Tennessee.
Yeah.
Now the follow-up again, like the schedule is really difficult, so you're not going to get an easy landing pad. But it's on the road. That's a winnable game. It's a Tennessee Titans defense that isn't that great. But as we laid it out, San Fran with Bosa, Miami with Phillips, Houston with Hunter, Jacksonville with Hines Allen, New York with Will McDonald and Quinnen Williams. Those are 5 games. I don't know if Jacoby Brissett makes it there healthy. And that's what my issue is. He's going to keep taking these licks, be pressured at this high rate. There were 22 pressures and 35 dropbacks on Thursday night alone. The whole offense was flat. They never got their run game behind them. But that's when Jerod Mayo says we have to support him as a staff and the players and keep him clean to find the open receiver.
Yep.
It's more than Drake Maye being ready. It's, is this offense ready? And another nugget that Albert Breer reported, one thing that they're doing in practice, because they have Jacoby Brissett here, who played for offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt in Cleveland, when there's a first offense out there and it's concept Jacoby is comfortable with, they put Drake Maye in. That's where the 30% number comes from, because they've been splitting practice reps with the first team 70-30.
Yeah.
Normally it would be like a 95-5. I like that there was more context added to that. Yeah. And I'm all for Drake Maye getting the 30% of the reps. Like he is a long-term plan. And you know what? If I don't trust you guys in an actual game to put him out there, give him the practice reps when it's a controlled environment.
Yeah.
Eventually he has to go against live bullets though, because that's the only way you get better. It's just, there's so much more that has to be good around him.
You're right. And I think, you know, obviously it was encouraging to see him go out there. And I think Jerod Mayo was encouraged, but he's like, not enough. You know, he was tough, took a couple hits. He just has to get over this hump, and that comes with more playing time. And obviously that's the secret sauce. That's the key to success here is just, you need to do it more to get better at it. And, you know, people need to be better around him. But something I wanted to ask you is, what was your reaction when you found out Drake Maye was going in this game?
It was, these reps won't make or break him long term. And it was fine, put him in. And I said, he's just going to hand it off left and right. The second I saw him dropping back, the second I saw him scrambling, getting lit up by Sherwood, their backup linebacker, I hated all of it. But then the flashes of the scrambles and him knowing how to get out of trouble, I'm fine with it. But like, they are lucky. The way he got hit when he scrambled and Sherwood dropped him, I mean, Pyle drove him into the turf, which was a legal hit. The way the back of his head bounced off the turf, they were lucky it wasn't a concussion. And it's these receivers aren't getting open. And if you're going to put him in, make sure he knows how to get out of trouble. A, where to scramble to, where the outlet will be, and B, how to slide and avoid hits. So that's, again, of he's not ready, because part of it is you're protecting yourself. Another part is protecting the football. And I didn't see that from him. So I was fine with it. We were debating, is it worth it? Is it not? Have him play. Have him play football. But I put that on Alex Van Pelt that they did not set him up for success. What they were calling. I don't care what point of the game it was. I don't care how quick the passes were. If you threw an interception right off the bat, I don't care about that. But there just has to be, they have to be smarter with what they're assigning him to do when he's out there. Yeah,
definitely. And I something that I wanted to bring up is, it was kind of an interesting moment on Thursday. I was at this like networking event. Not even a networking event. It was actually a beautiful event. It was the Borg Family Foundation, the ALS.
Look at you, VIP, getting an invite to that. Huh?
Yeah, I don't know how. I'm not that cool. But it was really cool because we were there and all of a sudden news broke that Drake Maye was going into the game.
Yeah.
So what happened is they had TVs at this event in the corner of the room with the Jets and the Patriots on, and all of a sudden people swarmed to the TVs. People were like, "Oh my God, Drake Maye is going in." Was
Ray Bork watching?
He was probably too busy working.
Yeah, fair. I mean, that's his event.
I didn't actually see him watch the game, but maybe he was keeping track. But at least on my end, I took an Uber back home, and my friend I was with put it on her phone. The Uber driver was like, "Let me put it on the radio." So we were all zoned in. But just like in a way, like the hysteria that surrounded Drake Maye entering this game kind of reflects all like the hype around him and all that. Yeah. Just the excitement to see him go in. That's cool to see.
That shows the significance of what it is. Like, I'm not going to put down how significant it was that Drake Maye got in a game. Yeah. But it's very significant that this offensive line, these receivers, and this offensive play caller are not even close to being ready. Right. He could be further along in his progress, and they think he could have developed well since he got in as a very raw prospect. I love that. we need to see Alex Van Pelt and this offensive line develop, and they haven't come close.
Yes.
Even Drake Maye was asked, Vidarian Lowe, he said there's no timeline on him, who right now is a starting left tackle, who really opened to camp as a backup left tackle, and asked about how he talks with the offensive line.
Yep.
Gerard said this, quote, "It's a very upfront conversation. I have the relationship, and so do the coaches, where you can be very transparent and open. This isn't good enough. We showed them a slide of a mirror during a meeting. Put the mirror in the player's face and remind them what it is. It's all our fault, and it starts with me." Yeah, Gerard Mayo, Alex Van Pelt, they have to look in the mirror. The offensive line does, because they just so disorganized, bad communication, nothing was going right.
Yeah.
And again, I put this mirror in front of Elliott Wolf, because this has been their plan. Where the swing tackle you signed in free agency as a vet, you said, well, he could play either side. He's no longer with the team. And then the rookie that you started at left tackle, which you said could be a left tackle, he wasn't because they had him at right tackle at Penn State. Couldn't play left tackle. Like, simple stunts coming his way, simple line games, led him in complete disarray. Yes, he's making his first ever career start at a high level at left tackle. I'll give him grace. But he looked lost, and you didn't help him.
Yep.
And then if it wasn't that, they couldn't pick up blitzes, where they brought a lot more pressure. Jeff Ulbrich did for the Jets than normal. They caught this offensive line with their pants around their ankles, and they didn't know what to do about it at all. So that mirror better be in Elliott Wolf's office, because this is still his fault on how bad this offensive line is. If Drake Maye is ready, they need to make sure the offensive line is. And if it's not, it's because of Elliott Wolf, and it's because of Scott Peters and Alex Van Pelt.
You're right. And I have to kind of applaud Gerard Mayo for proceeding the way that he has. I think the whole plan that he laid out, the way he handled the media, it wasn't even like we were thrown a curveball or anything. I think we always kind of knew what was going on. The transparency from him has been really rejuvenating in a way. So to have Brissett out there, to get like a little glimpse of Drake Maye this early, when I didn't think we were going to see him till later on. And then just to understand where the team is at, what kind of season, what kind of year this team is going to have. Everybody was expecting it to be a losing year. I think they're kind of holding their own in a way, better than we did. Obviously, the week 1 upset, people were kind of thinking like, oh, is this team actually going to be pretty good this year? And then overtime with the Seahawks, are they going to be good? Well, this was not a good game at all. And I think it was kind of inevitable that this was going to happen for the Patriots at some point. But I think Gerard Mayo is kind of handling the situation all as well as he possibly can, coming in as his first year coach. I have to applaud him for making the decisions that he has. And I don't know. I think it's just been, it hasn't been a disaster like a lot of people were kind of expecting, I don't think, because obviously look at Carolina, look at how that went.
But if week 3 continues, then it's a bigger disaster
than
I think expected.
Right.
You know, it's a weird sample size. And you can say this for any team. Like the NFL, through the first 3 or 4 weeks is a complete mystery, and it's complete chaos. Then you get into like, you know, a third or a quarter through the season, everything settles down. You figure out who is who and what is what as teams catch up, especially when you've seen bad offensive play. If week 3 bleeds into week 4, and that goes like, we're harping on the offensive line. The defense was atrocious. They never had any answers. They never had any adjustments. They couldn't do anything to contain Aaron Rodgers, who isn't the most mobile. And yes, he's one of the smartest and MVP caliber quarterbacks in the league. But it can't be that easy, especially when you're keeping Garrett Wilson in check. There needs to be more from the overall team. That week 1, that's what threw off the expectations. And then week 2, even though they lost in OT, like that was a good game by them. It was 2 huge mistakes that left them out to dry. There can't be another week 4. The tough part, it's not going to get easy. On the road in San Francisco, the Niners coming off a loss. I don't care how banged up they are. Kyle Shanahan, again, another coach that knows who he has, knows how to set his guys up for success. He will pick apart your defense, because what you saw with that West Coast offense of the Jets that picked you apart, that's what Kyle Shanahan will do. Same thing come Sunday.
And that's going to be a really fun game to watch. My dad lived in San Francisco for 10 years, so he's a big 49ers fan, as is Tyler Murray, our friend. But you know what? Seeing them play the Patriots will be an interesting, kind of indication as to, you know, how messy the Patriots look right now, because that's what it's going to be. No one's probably expecting the Patriots to win this game. The 49ers,
10.5-point dogs, huge spread.
Yeah, and Nick Bosa, I mean, I love him personally.
He can ruin their whole day.
Exactly. He is massive, and I don't think that offensive line against someone like him, come on. No, but it's going to be fun to see. I think this should be a Jacoby Brissett game all the way through. But you brought up a really good point, is how long can he withstand this kind of football before his body starts to kind of give out on him?
Yeah. If they have to get boring with the play calling and just run the heck out of the ball, even if it's not working, I don't care. You need to keep Jacoby Brissett healthy. That has to be their priority.
Play it safe.
Yeah. And that same thing, that Niners defense will take notes of, okay, they're going to overload on the left side to help out Caden Wallace, bring the blitz from the right side. They don't have answers. Like there's no communication. There's no cohesiveness up front. Let's get into talking Chiefs. So we covered it all with the Pats. Go. Let's get into talking Chiefs. So those of you that may have missed the finale to Sunday night, good game, tight game, 22-17 the final. Kansas City pulls off the win on the road in Atlanta. Their defense stepping up yet again, which is just like a rollover from their Super Bowl run of that Steve Spagnuolo defense. But everyone's looking at that key moment. 3rd and 5 from the Chiefs 6. About 4 minutes to go in the game. And Kirk Cousins with an end zone shot to Kyle Pitts. Incomplete, but Kyle Pitts absolutely smothered by the Chiefs safety.
Yep.
Now you go back a week and the Chiefs were bailed out by a failed 4th down conversion by DPI called on the Bengals cornerback, and it was straight DPI. People are like, it's not. No, it's defensive pass interference. Don't let it skew because it's the Chiefs. Defender got there before the ball did. Textbook, by the book, great call.
Yep.
This one wasn't called. And that's where it gets people of, so you call it against the Bengals, and it's the right call. Like people may hate the outcome, but it was the right call.
Yep.
But then you don't call it against the Chiefs. I think it speaks to a bigger matter that's the issue, is that how subjective that penalty is and how subjective that rule is. And these referees, it's a fast game. It happens so fast. They tried doing the review rule back in 2020 for defensive pass interference.
Yeah.
And the refs basically did like a silent protest of they're not overturning any calls because they have to protect their job. The solution, the NFL won't want to admit it, is there. I'm mad this DPI wasn't called because it would have set the Falcons up on the Chiefs' doorstep, fresh set of downs. They likely win. It's just tough because it happened against the Chiefs. That's why everyone's even more significant angry at this one.
Yes, 100%. And what's kind of funny about this, I was reading some of the comments online because you see the screenshot of this. It's a complete bear
Not
hug.
even turning around for the ball. Yes. Hugging him before the ball's even in the frame.
You're right. And that's the part that's kind of funny because people are being sarcastic about it online. They're saying like, no way. He totally was turned. He was making a play on the ball. Obviously, stuff like that. Like, look what he's doing. Oh yeah. Like no way. But I think like, in a way, too, people are like, this is the Taylor Swift effect. Like, it's Taylor Swift's team. This would happen to everybody. Like, any other team would have been called except for Taylor Swift's team. But
it's Patrick Mahomes' team.
It's Patrick Mahomes' team. And we could go over and over this a million times. But, yes, I think it's fair to say that this was poor officiating. This was kind of biased in a way, too, because it's just like, wow, that is blatant. Call it.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating for fans to watch this, I'm sure, because it's like, and you've seen games where you're like, okay, the officials, the referees totally dictated the way this game went. Like that's kind of what this moment was for fans watching at home. And like to be a voice for those fans, it's frustrating because yes, it should have been called.
And it should have been called. It would give them a fresh set of downs. And then 4th and 5, they're faced with where a pass just flutters to Drake London's feet.
Yeah.
I don't know what the read is. I think Darnell Mooney should have cut across the middle, probably on an option route on a slant and caught that and got open.
Yeah.
But you just see how it happened. Like, that's not called. Yep. And that is something where it wasn't even like it was a schemed up, throw the ball up, hopefully we get a DPI and it gets us downfield. That was Kirk Cousins on 3rd and 5 going with the end zone shot. Kyle Pitts doing his thing, trying to make a play on the ball. The D-back all over him. And again, you go back a week before. DPI was called against the Bengals. That set up the Chiefs for the game-winning field goal. This time around doesn't happen. You could say it's a Mahomes effect. Maybe it's true. It's just, to me, it's the bigger issue is like the officiating. It's been bad all season. And I'll bring up the rule they had because it was after the Saints got screwed out of their playoff run in 2019. An egregious defensive pass interference not called. So they said, all right, we'll put it in a review the next season. Basically, the referees they'll never admit they're wrong. Like even the guys that get paid all the bucks to be the official in the booth that helps out these broadcasts always sides with the refs. They're never, it's a weird silent brotherhood where they're never going to say they're wrong.
No.
And if you bring this review back, it'll be the same thing. What the NFL's answer, what they can do, and obviously they have the budget as a multi-billion-dollar business, they can go with God's eye, the eye in the sky, where they would have an independent official in the booth. A play like that happens, they quickly review it. They have the close-up angles, what we see at TV, and they get in the main refs here. No, overturn it, throw a flag right now. That's defensive pass interference. But that means he's overstepping on the refs down on the field, and they will never allow that to happen. The integrity of the game, which is, it's better off if you go that way. The NFL will never want to admit they're wrong, and there's a weird protection of these refs that they're going to keep going with that.
And you're right. And I'm gonna speak to the production side of things. Like doing an official review for a referee is easy. All you have to do, you can have every angle possible. Granted, like the college scale might not have that the capacity to do that, but in a multi-billion-dollar franchise industry like professional football, Major League Baseball, like you can afford the equipment for official review. That is perfect.
Yeah.
And every angle that your eyes can't see, a camera should be able to. So you're right to this point. Like, it's so easy. All you need to do is get the call from the ref to say, we need to see that again. And then the production team gets to work. You set up the official review and you play it for them. And it's easy. They can play it in slow motion. They can play it front, back, sideways, whatever you need. It is so freaking easy to make sure you see how a play should be called.
Yeah.
So that's why this is frustrating to me, because there's a screenshot circulating online where this is terrible pass interference. And just so we can like take it back to the basics here, pass interference, a foul that occurs when a player interferes with an eligible receiver's ability to make a fair attempt to catch a forward pass. This was BS because he wasn't even making a play on the ball. He was making a play on the human, and it's frustrating. It's just frustrating when you know how easy it can be to make this call.
And that's what it is. Of like, that should have been thrown. Like, obviously you have the eyes on there, and they were saying at the same time there was the pool report, because an official will talk with one beat reporter that covers the Falcons, which I think is the most classic thing too. Like, you're going to talk to one person.
Yeah.
Just like 2 or 3, because some people will catch something someone else isn't saying. It feels like it's in such a limited capacity to like in and out on the fly. But anyhow, for them to basically say, well, the refs didn't have the vantage point, and that's why that call was stuck. That's why they didn't discuss it. They didn't overturn it after discussion on the field. You can't review defensive pass interference. If it was called or if it wasn't called, you can't review it either way. So that's a rule there.
Yeah.
But basically, like, oh, we didn't have the right angle or vantage point.
Yeah, that's where...
This is a Sunday night football game between the Chiefs and the Falcons. You want your A team on this officiating it. If it's not the Monday night game, you want your best officials on the field and the officials to make the right play, because that's what it is. Where what was a great game, 22-17 final, with 2 teams, one in the AFC, one in the NFC, that can make a lot of noise. Actually, both in the Chiefs or AFC, excuse me. That can make a lot of noise and make a deep playoff run. And if anything, for people too, to say for the Chiefs, like, if you're the NFL, what's a better storyline of what's going to turn people off? The Chiefs sucking, or the Chiefs just continuing to dominate, and the Falcons also making their step forward, especially after last week's upset win over the Eagles in Philly? Like, there's interest in this one. There's, people make the joke of the script writers. Yeah, if they're script writers, like, you want the Chiefs to struggle out of the gates and lose a game like this and then keep it going and have it continually. But now the Chiefs are 3-0 as normal. And then the Falcons are 1-2 after struggling in week 1. It went so many ways, and we're talking about this instead of that game. That was great. And I would like to point out, it was 4th and inches. Falcons had 2 timeouts. They're on the Chiefs 12, I believe, in Chiefs territory. They needed literally half the distance of the football to get a fresh set of downs. With 2 timeouts and just over 50 seconds left, they decided to run the ball laterally. Chiefs defense stuffs them. The Falcons had another shot. They obviously needed 6, not 3, so it doesn't matter where they were. They had that opportunity, but again, this moment takes from that.
Yeah, and something else I wanted to point out, how many primetime spots the Chiefs have this season. I believe it's 5. So they had their season opener in a primetime slot. 2 appearances on Sunday Night Football, and then 2 appearances on Monday Night Football. And the list could potentially grow as well.
Yeah, they could get flexed into a Sunday night or Monday night game, which we've seen happen.
That's so much primetime coverage. So if you don't have the right angle, then you got to fix your primetime coverage. And that's where I'm saying
you spoke about the video production. When you have those primetime games, you have more cameras in the building.
Exactly my point. And that's why it's like frustrating. It's like that in my brain, I'm like, I know if you have a primetime football game in your facility, you are going to do everything possible to make this an easy production for it's not going to be easy, but you want it to be seamless, and you want the capabilities to be A1 for your team, because everybody's watching and you need to get it right. So that's why it's almost frustrating. Because it's like, first of all, what facility were they playing this game in?
Falcons.
Yeah, that's like what, the number 2 facility? Number 1
it's facility? It's one of the best stadiums in the country, in the league,
Yeah, so you best believe that their coverage is even better.
Yeah.
So that's this production side of me is like, come on.
No, but you do think of that, and I agree. Like, it's a Sunday night game. This isn't the like D-level squad. This isn't a Patriots Chargers matchup on a rainy Sunday in New England where the final it's just like you have your top booth, you have a network, not a like secondary network on this covering. It's like it's NBC. This is their baby. This is their bread and butter. Yeah. You want calls like this to go the right way. It turns people off. You're
right. And that's what I'm kind of like thinking about, because the more like I love sports, obviously, but the more like the media grows around sports, the more productional value increases over the years. It's like, you need to get this right. So that's why I'm kind of disappointed for them to say, oh, we didn't have like the right angle, right vantage point. It's like, well, the time has never been better for football to be broadcast. So if you have something that's not working, then let's figure it out, because this is a frustrating call. I think a lot of people are leaning towards the fact that officials are being Kansas City biased.
Yep.
And if this continues, they really need to kind of break the trend here to get away from that mentality as fans.
I need to pull up this pool report for the exact one, because that was basically what was explained. Let's see if we can find it. Oh, here we go.
I like how intricate we're getting about this, because it's so true. And I'm even going to speak from like an inside source here. One of my best friends is the director of.
Oh, you're giving up your source like that?
Well, you know what? Because
you can't give up the source.
Well, I'm not going to give the name, but it's a fact.
You say position and company.
Well, I have a friend.
There we go.
Who works?
I'm just looking out for your friend.
Okay, thank you. For the Atlanta Falcons and their facility.
Nice there.
And what?
Don't say he or she.
Oh, it's ambiguous.
There we go. All perfect.
Ambiguity. Long story short, I know they were prepping for this game for a very long time, not only because it was Kansas City, but the potential for Taylor Swift to show up. They had cameras ready to go for whoever could capture whatever was necessary. So that's why I'm kind of on a rampage about this, because I'm like, I know it was in good hands.
That's a good point of extra cameras, extra hands on deck for Taylor Swift. I didn't even think of that one.
Yeah, because then you got to talk to the
source.
Ticketing and figure out where she's sitting, and then you have to figure out where you can put her, not only on the in-house screen but also the broadcast screen. Who's going to build her lower third? All the stuff that goes into not only the team but the girlfriend too. So there's a lot of extra preparation
put into it
that goes into this.
This was from the ref, from the angle that they had at the time. They did not feel that there was a foul committed. They were asked about it. That's a judgment call. With the angle we had, we did not feel that there was a foul committed, and it's a real-time judgment call for us. We do the best we can to make that decision. Not good enough,
and they stand by it. I mean, you gotta.
I can't stand bad officiating. I always I see that, and I always say I really should have. I would have skipped college. I would have just officiated a bunch of high school football games in the area.
Yeah.
Work my way up through the college rankings and eventually become a ref, because the standard that they have of execution is so low that anyone can do it. Literally anyone can do it. I wish I did that. I went with that avenue.
Maybe in your next life you can do it.
I might, maybe I'll quit tomorrow and just become a ref. And then I'll use my broadcasting background with my officiating experience.
You're right.
And I'll be the person that's on a game day broadcast that sees an egregious call but then sides with the refs anyway. It's simple.
There's some facilities that I work in for hockey too, where I kind of have a monitor that has every camera angle. So if they're like, hey, Natalie, can you tell us more about what you're seeing? I'm like, oh yeah, it's clear as day. The puck was offsides, or the person was offsides, because I can see it right here. So even in college facilities, they're making it work. Official review is never going away. It's only going to get better. And we need to invest as much money into it to make for fair games. Yeah. That's at the end of the day. That's what it is.
They can't admit they're wrong. But they invest the money, they're admitting they're wrong.
That's a good point. But the NFL, come on,
be better.
Yeah, be better.
Multi-billion. A lot of eyeballs.
Better, yeah. So.
All right, let's get to a team that needs to be better. The Cowboys. Awful start to the season, 1-2 record. They've lost their last 3 home games. That goes back to last year in the playoffs, getting run off the field by the Packers.
Yep.
And after Derrick Henry ran for 151 yards and 2 touchdowns on 25 carries, Jerry Jones was asked why they didn't go after Derrick Henry in free agency, and he said, quote, "We couldn't afford Derrick Henry." He signed a 2-year, $16 million deal with the Ravens while they brought Ezekiel Elliott back on a 1-year, $3 million deal. They couldn't afford him. They had to pay Dak, which they did. They had to pay CD, which they did. I said it when they paid CD, Jerry, congrats, you paid him more than you should have because you waited.
Yeah.
If they went out and signed CD right away and signed Dak right away, maybe they could have afforded Derrick Henry. It's not a Derrick Henry issue. Meanwhile, Ezekiel Elliott had 3 rushes for 6 yards. The Cowboys ran for 51 total. Again, Derrick Henry had 151.
Yep.
This defense stinks. They've been bad, okay defensively, bad in the secondary.
Yep.
Their tackle play has been poor. They, again, don't have that support. But for Jerry Jones to plead poverty is just rich. For the guy that'll say, I don't care to get deals done. I'm rich. Look at everything I do for the NFL. And also the guy that wants to wear the hat of no one does a GM-ish better than me, then you do this.
Well, that right there.
You're going to say you're the best GM?
Yeah, but you're making stupid decisions.
Yeah.
I guess we'll say it. First of all, you dragged your feet into costing yourself more money. Now, between CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott, close to $400 million there, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, you look at the contract that Henry has with the Ravens, I think,
2 years, $16 million. $8 million a year.
Yeah, and like that's the thing. His deal with the Ravens has a cap number of like $5 million in 2024. The Cowboys currently have $25.8 million in cap space. So there is no excuse not to get him. But you know what? Jerry Jones, for him to say he does this job better than anybody,
and then do this,
you're missing a couple things, buddy, because obviously this would have been very valuable for your team. Derrick Henry actually would have been interested in even playing with them because
he wanted to.
Yeah, he lives in Dallas too. He's like, this would have been easy for me. If Baltimore wasn't interested, then I was thinking maybe Dallas because I live there. It'd be convenient, but Baltimore was interested, and I'm thankful. As a player too, you want to feel wanted.
Oh yeah.
So
it's probably miffed. Like this is in a way, it was a Derrick Henry revenge game of like, you passed up on me, you don't want to pay me, I'll run all over you, and that's fine.
And I love that. There's no better way to get back at someone than by like silently defeating them the best way you know how. So he went out, he ran all over them, and I think that was just kind of like, obviously the headlines now are saying, well, Cowboys, you could have afforded him, and look at, you missed your opportunity. Even Tom Brady was talking about him. Every time he gets the ball, he gets stronger. So
against a bad defense.
And yeah, that's true.
And it's even like their defensive line's fine, but Michael Parsons can't be this like he is an all-world player, but he can only do so much. You talk about like Derrick Henry got $8 million a year, but cap hit of $5 million this year, and they have 20 plus in space. Even looking at the secondary, Donovan Wilson, Trayvon Diggs, Malik Hooker weren't good.
Yep.
Stephon Gilmore wanted to return to the Cowboys. He signed for 1 year, $7 million with Minnesota. Again, an affordable contract.
Yep.
Stephon Gilmore coming off in the postseason game wasn't healthy. Got off-season surgery and is looking great for the Vikings, which is one of the best defenses in the league. Again, two pieces on offense, on defense, his team direly needs. And Jerry Jones again going, we couldn't afford him. Like, why do you have all this cap space then, man?
Yeah,
what are we doing here?
Where are you planning on using it too? That's I feel like as a fan of sports in general, it's like you have all this money. We could bring up other topics. Why aren't you spending it where you should be spending it?
Yeah.
So that's frustrating point as like a sports fan too, especially to see a guy who would have been valuable for you, who you could have taken in the free agency in the offseason. Like, and then you see him destroy your defense, who you already know is bad. Yeah. It's like, you know what? Cowboy fans are shaking their head at Jerry Jones.
The delusional world he lives in, I kind of respect.
And you know what? I was going to say that too. I'm like, for him to have that arrogance, like, okay, like good for you.
When you're a billionaire, you can.
Yeah,
I mean, like the famous story, I think it was when he was building Cowboys Stadium, his wife wanted a certain type of granite from Italy, but it wouldn't have made it in time for the stadium when it was done.
Yeah.
So he bought the company in Italy, pushed his order to the top, and that's how they got the granite.
What a way to manipulate the system, huh? Imagine having that much money.
I don't hate that. Good on you. I hope everyone else got their orders. But like just the delusional life he lives in. He built up the Cowboys to what they are. He changed how you market in the NFL. He changed the branding. He did so much.
Yeah.
But this team is, I think, 5-13 in the playoffs since their last Super Bowl winner, 5-16. And with him, for him to say the same thing of like, I'm the best GM, I'm the only one that can do the job. You're the only one that's done the job because you're the only one that's allowed to do it.
Yeah.
And still, that is spitting in the face of Will McClay, who has run your draft, run your player development for all these years, who is basically a general manager. But of course, you carry the credit card and the checkbook. So what can he do so much? Respect the delusion. The best thing Jerry could do, and I think the only way that would save him in his grace with Cowboys fans, is just step down.
Yeah.
And it's like this stuff too of like he does always a post-game presser impromptu in a huddle with, in a scrum with reporters after every single game, win or loss. No one puts themselves in the spotlight more than Jerry Jones, and no one should do it less than Jerry Jones.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, the thing about this is like this loss in particular revives the conversation of should Jerry Jones be in his position, because people are it's relevant again. It's relevant. So people are like, okay, so they lost again, and the guy that we could have had on our team, nearly 75% of the Ravens offensive plays were running the ball. So that just brings the conversation back to the forefront of people saying, you know what? This team, like, I'm frustrated with the Cowboys. I'm not going to spew any profanities here, but that's what they're thinking, because they're like, come on, like it brings the conversation back into the minds of people of it, is Jerry Jones the right guy for this? And you're right. The only thing that can happen is for him to allow someone else to do this job. And what did he say one time? The only way I'm going to give this job up is if I get hit by a bus or something.
Did he say that?
I think so. I'm pretty sure he did. But like,
there's other ways he can give it up. Just step down, step back.
He's got his family involved. Yeah. Like, it's just crazy. The stubbornness, like, and that's what it is. It's being stubborn. And granted, you got to give him credit for what he's done for this team. But there comes a time where people will be looking for new leadership.
Yeah.
And if this keeps happening, this conversation is going to be more relevant than ever.
Let the football people make football decisions. Yeah. You be a businessman, which obviously works out. Again, they've allowed the 4th most yards per game defensively, worst rush defense in the NFL as well. Let's end it with the guy that broke their back and started this whole convo, Derrick Henry. You see his diet plan that popped up?
Yeah.
He spends over $250,000 a year, or $250K minimum on his yearly diet.
Insane.
No fried food. I'm all for that. No dairy. I can't do that. No gluten. Can't do that. No artificial sugars. I'm with that. This one got me. He doesn't eat until 4 or 5 p.m. He has an avocado or banana before practice, and that's it. That's wild, but Derrick Henry at his size, to do all that, I mean, it's brilliant. Like, you have the means, you have the income. Investing in your diet this heavily, it's expensive to eat healthy, but if you do it right, how it can elongate your career. He's investing $250, let's say $300,000 a year, but if he keeps getting him these $8 million, $7 million a year contracts longer than what he would have gotten otherwise, the ROI is there. I love this from athletes. Like, we get a DK Metcalf that talks about all the sugar and candy he eats all day, and that's it. I hate that. Like, eat healthy. Because, again, I think of this from the Baltimore fans. You have to love it when you have a guy like this, especially in your locker room, showing the rest of the team of how serious they take their craft. Yeah,
and if you, honestly, something like this, too, health and wellness, it, like, kind of infects the rest of the team around you. Because then they're like, oh, look at this guy. He's playing well. He looks good. I was just trying to Google his body fat percentage. Couldn't find it. But I'm very curious because no dairy. I love cheese. I couldn't give up cheese. No fried food I can get with that.
Could you do this diet?
No, I could not. First of all, I don't have $250,000 to spend. I spent $22 on groceries today, and I was a little upset.
That's awesome.
It was like a salad, chicken, and like a drink.
Yeah.
And I was like, $22. $250,000? Come on. I couldn't do that. But, you know.
You ever do any like weird fad diets or anything like this? Juice cleanses? Like I don't know.
Intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
But like it's hard in our industry because you'll get out of work at like 11 one night. How about you?
I've heard of the green apple diet, which is nuts. Ooh. People eat nothing but green apples for 72 hours. You like drop a lot of weight. Yeah. Ooh. I would crash so hard on that.
Yeah.
The weirdest thing, and I am a weird eater. Like I will admit that. I try to cut out processed carbs as much as possible.
Yeah, same.
I'm big on like, I don't care breakfast, lunch, dinner. I have meat. Like my breakfast is a lot of ground turkey. Exactly. Give me the protein intake. I don't care. I have like 7-8 grams of ounces of ground turkey with some eggs. The weirdest thing I did for a while, I need to bring it back. I would have lentils like 5 days a week.
Okay.
So I would just do bone broth, lentils, chopped up celery, carrots, some seasoning, salt and pepper for flavor.
Kind of like a chicken noodle soup.
I never felt better. I would get like a real boost of energy, rich in fiber, rich in protein. Lentils are good for you. So
you know what I have cut out lately, and I'm very proud, is like iced coffee. Like that, first of all, was hurting my bank account, and then like all the sugar because I love Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, so you'll get like a flavor? No,
I just can't do that anymore. So I'll drink black coffee in the morning.
Yep.
I think the weirdest thing I did was like warm water, lemon juice, cinnamon. It was some
it's good for like your gut health and your throat.
Yeah, but I was like only drinking that. This was like in high school when I thought like being skinny was cool. But now, no. And it's funny because you walk in the newsroom the other day, you have chicken, cucumbers, and mushrooms just in a bowl, right?
Yeah.
That looks good.
That's my go-to second meal of the day.
Well, that's like good protein. I will go like protein dense. I've started seeing like a personal trainer once a week, which is fun. But like, I don't know. I couldn't do this diet. It's inspiring when people are this healthy, but I couldn't.
That's my dream. Don't give me a second house. I don't need a nice car. I don't need a boat. Private chef.
Yeah.
I would be all for that.
Yeah.
The one I have, when you got your salad, did you go lettuce or spinach?
What salad are you talking?
You got salad at groceries.
I think I just got romaine, but I did have like a spinach and kale salmon salad the other day.
Okay. I'm a lettuce truther. Lettuce is nothing. It's zero. It's net zero.
Yeah.
So you should always get spinach or arugula.
I will put spinach in my scrambled eggs.
My buddy Drew wanted to kill me. He was having a salad in the newsroom one day. I'm like, oh, you're having a salad with lettuce? What are you doing? It's awful. Have spinach. He wanted to literally punch me in the face.
Oh my God. Well, spinach is like, some people like it or hate it.
I'm that annoying person. I judge what people eat.
I'm never eating around you.
I leave some people to what they... No. I know when to stop, but I'm a big lettuce truther. I hate lettuce.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not
anything.
eating around
burgers,
you,
tacos, salads.
I had a smash ground turkey taco on like a low carb wrap.
That sounds
with
amazing.
homemade pico. Freaking good.
That sounds amazing.
That was a really good dinner.
All right, we got to cut it off before we talk 20 more minutes on food. I have to have my ground turkey right after this. She's Natalie Noury. I'm George Balekji. This was Boston Has Entered the Chat from the PNC Bank studio. Thanks so much for listening. If you're listening on Spotify, please like, subscribe, download, rate, review on Apple and Amazon Prime podcasts as well. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button right there on our Nesson channel. Follow Natalie and I on all the social channels. We'll see you guys same time, same place tomorrow. Have a good one.